everybody. This is Cindy Allen, editor-in-chief of Interior Design Magazine and at the Cindygram. And today we're starting a new series for DesignTV called At Home. It's actually a regular feature we publish in our Interior Design Homes edition, but now it's coming to you live. I mean, who doesn't want to see this? All right, so get set because we're kicking it off by heading all the way out east to the tip of Long Island to Montauk, New York. And we're visiting Hall of Famer and my very, very dear friend, Lauren Rottet, founding principal and president of Rottet Studio. And you're in for a treat. We're gonna visit her vintage George Nelson beach house. Oh my God. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, I wish I was there with you.
I wish you were too.
I know, it's crazy that we're really right now so close, and we normally, everyone out there, we normally would be seeing one another, but we're gonna have to do it by Zoom for now, right?
It's better than nothing for sure.
I know, I know. Now, okay, Lauren, so let's start at the beginning because we think of you as like Miss Jet Setter all around the world, designing fabulous hotels and big, gorgeous commercial office spaces and workplaces. And I think of you like, because your offices are in Los Angeles, New York, and Shanghai. So Montauk, like, what's the deal?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question because, you know, I had never been to Montauk. I barely knew it existed. And I was visiting a friend in East Hampton, first time I'd been to the Hamptons. And I started looking through real estate magazines, as I love to do.
Right.
And I saw a house designed by George Nelson and Gordon Chadwick. And I thought, what? I didn't even know he ever did a house. I've got to go see this thing. So I called a realtor and she says, oh, Montauk, it's so far away. And I'm like, I'm from Houston. What's 25 more minutes?
Right.
She said, oh, you don't want to be in Montauk. Let's look around East Hampton. So I had to humor her. So we looked around East Hampton. I was nice. I said, well, how about the house in Montauk?
Right.
We came out to see it and it was a bit of a mess, but I'm like, this is way better than even the pictures. I think I'm in love and I bought it.
Right. I know, it's such an amazing story. By the way, this is my theory is as a designer, the house that the realtors say no to is the house you're going to want, right?
Because she's like, it's strange. It has the,
right.
You enter through the kitchen. Yes. Well, yes, you do. Upstairs.
Yeah. I know. So, I mean, look, it's definitely in the design world, a house of envy, right? Because like finding this, it's like a secret treasure, such happenstance that you happen to like be looking. And like you said, you were like, that's it, I'm buying it, right?
Yeah, I was. And then of course, the two artists who were living in it decided they didn't want to sell.
Oh my God,
so,
what happened?
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
They did. And so, I mean, and I can understand it. They were really kind of on the fence anyway. And so it turned out they were just not having a great time with their realtor. So my realtor said, this is unusual, but I'm going to handle both sides of it. So she was super sweet, made them feel better, and they felt fine about it and eventually sold it to me.
Wow. So how long ago was that now?
Well, let's see, it was 2011. So it's been almost 9 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, kind of much. I mean, it feels like it was almost yesterday, but it's been 9 years.
I've been working on it for 8 years.
I know.
8.5 years.
I know, just everybody. So we just, she has been working on it. We just published it in Homes. It's a glorious feature. And we were all really, really so excited about it, honestly. And you know, it's a piece of history. So that's the thing, right, Lauren? So a George Nelson house, you think a house, right? You think, no, marshmallow sofa. You don't think a house. So you had to do some digging about that, right?
You can actually see one of the original marshmallow sofas that came with the house in the background over there. You know, true. And he did one other house in the Hamptons that he wasn't crazy about. It was a little traditional. Then he did this one originally on the beach. And then those owners sold it. And so the son rebuilt the exact house, got permission from him, used the floor plans and rebuilt the exact same house up here on the hill. So I'm up on the hill. But it's really interesting because when I first looked at the plans, every single room is a hexagon, every single room. Right. And so I needed to turn the boiler room. There was literally like an oil tank in the downstairs room and a slop sink for the artist. And I thought, well, view of Lake Montauk, I have to turn it into a bedroom.
Right.
So I thought, well, how on earth do you get a closet, a bathroom, and a bed in a hexagon? But strangely, once you started planning with it, it worked beautifully.
Wow.
And yeah, so, you know,
I
you think of
remember that room. It's so funny because like you would think that that room wouldn't be as gracious as it is,
right,
considering it was a boiler room, but you would never know. It is. And it's got incredible views.
it
It's like,
does. It
right.
does.
That was definitely special. Okay, so you're driving up to the house, and it's very nice that it's like up on the hill. So you're starting to feel relaxed already. And then you have to, like you said, it's a quirky house. So you kind of drive under a bridge, right?
You do. You drive under a bridge. So, you know, that was a little bit popular in the time, in the late 50s, early 60s when this was designed. The kitchen was everything. The bridge is really a ramp that takes your groceries up to the kitchen. So you don't have to, you know, take them down to the car, bring them up the stairs, etc. But you drive under that and towards the garage. So the back of the house really becomes the front of the house.
Right.
So you enter from the back in a big door downstairs and enter into a hexagonal entry room.
Right,
And
wait. But I also like, sorry, just that like when I drive in, because I've been there, everybody. So when you
Mhm.
drive in, there's also, so there's the bridge, and it's sort of letting you know that it's kind of an upside down house in a way,
Yeah,
right? And
good.
also the garage is hinting at these glorious circular skylights that you're going to see later on, right? In the house, because that's like unbelievable.
It is, and I need to, yeah, the sun's not coming in now, but a few minutes ago it was just pouring and making gorgeous ellipses on the floor. But I need to do what the artist did and turn that garage into a studio. It was some well-known artists, and they had some of the coolest stuff out there in the garage because the sunlight is beautiful through those lights. But you're right, there's three sort of dome skylights in the garage, so that's
Yeah,
what you face as you enter. But then, of course, you turn around,
right.
turn around and come back in to face the house. So you open this big doorknob that's a little too high for me, so I have to stand on the stoop to
I remember that. Up, reach up high.
exactly reach up high to get the door open. And then you come in, and I put a big mirror on the right so it reflects the pool on the left. So as you come in, it's a hexagon. The stairs are to the right, and they're wooden handrail. And there's this really random flagstone. And you know me, I'm sort of like everything to kind of be calm. And it's red and gray and green. And the first thing my kids said are, "You're going to change that, right, Mom?" And I said, "I don't think so.
Right.
I'll live with it a while. I don't think so." So that goes all the way up the stairs. I actually added it out into the pool area. So it feels like that room goes on out into the pool and the deck. I put the pool in because you have to have a pool.
Totally. And there was just the nice, it was like a perfect spot for it too, right? Like now it feels like it was gentle and
Yeah.
meant to be there.
Well, and the pool's rectangular. There were so many angles. I had to pick which angle does the pool relate to, right?
Right.
But then there was kind of a natural one between the slope of the land, the water, what's called the well water, and the location of the septic tank. It was kind of a natural where the pool would go. But oddly, the sun rises on that side and sets on that side. So my inclination was put it on the west side. But I had to stay here a couple of summers. And the truth of the matter is, where it is, it gets sunlight all the way till the sun sets.
That's
So
amazing.
it's perfect, yeah.
Right. So for everyone, so you kind of walk into the house and you could see straight through to the pool. And you know, the thing
Mhm.
that you said about the flagstone is really interesting because we do think of you and like your like very strong aesthetic. And you know, with a house like this, and it is quirky, like it probably taught you something too about like
Mm.
letting go and allowing some of these things just to be and don't like strip it out, right?
No, absolutely. And at first I thought, well, you know, orange kind of cabinets in black and this weird laminate in the kitchen and this odd shape. I did replace the floor because it was bad. It was in bad shape, but
That was in the kitchen. That was in the kitchen,
in
right?
the kitchen,
But it
yeah,
looks, it makes the old cabinets look really good.
they look
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the funny thing was I like to cook, as does my family. So we thought, well, this kitchen is too small. It's just not going to work. But then we did a Thanksgiving in there, and the way it was designed, we had like 5 people and we were fine. So it's really amazing. So I've really not changed a thing, except I did have to get well, I have a new appliances, and I
Right.
kept the old cooktop because it was just so cool looking, but I had to change it because you had to light it with a lighter or a match, and it was
It
kind of
was like enough is enough, right?
enough's enough. So I finally this week got a new one.
That's great. Okay, wait. You walk in, you see the pool. To the left is a really beautiful room, but it actually hides a Murphy bed. So it's almost like a second living room, right?
It is, and it has a fireplace that stacks with the one above. So it's pretty much the same exact shape stacked on top of the upstairs living room. We call it the hippie room.
Uh,
because
I like that.
it's kind of a combination of poofs. There's no bean bags in it, but there's these sort of, big poofs. There's some pillows that we got on our first trip to Istanbul. There's two vintage Franco Albini chairs. They don't match. There's two Arne Jacobson chairs that are wicker. Those do match, but they don't match the other chairs. So there's just this very odd combination of a lot of interesting furniture. There's a vintage McGuire table and stools that came with the original house from the
Oh, I love that.
yeah, late 50s. And
And there's a gorgeous chandelier. There's a
Yeah.
gorgeous vintage chandelier. And you were saying also that you kind of know the places now in Montauk, right, to go shopping.
Yeah, Montauk and Sag Harbor and Bridgehampton. And yeah, I've definitely, everything is either original to the house. It came with a marshmallow sofa, and several of the lights, Paul McComb, credenza, and then everything else is either vintage from here or my prototypes, really.
Right. I know that that's the other thing too. It's like it's a really nice mix of like allowing the past to meet today
Yeah.
with all of your pieces. All right, we're going to go into some of the rooms so you can explain. Oh, also there was the clock, the George Nelson clock, right? That was also original to the house.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
in the dining room. Yeah.
Yeah, the one in the dining room, which also has a little funny chandelier that came with the house that you decided to keep, right?
Yeah, that chandelier, I don't know what its vintage is. I can't seem to find it, but my daughter loved it and she's into lighting, as you know, so she
Yeah,
would not let me get rid of it, but I've grown to like it. I like it.
yeah, yeah. And then there was, so you walk up the stairs, there's a beautiful Alexander Calder tapestry. I remember when you were getting it on auction. I remember.
Oh, was I online with you? Gotta go now,
Yeah,
gotta go.
totally, totally, which is fantastic. And then, Lauren, did you find out, so there's a gridded screen that flanks the dining room, and
Right.
that also is like kind of, it's fabulous, but it's kind of quirky, right?
It's very quirky, but if you look back at that period, like my aunt's house in Dallas had one of those. So it must have been a 50s, 60s thing to divide your dining room from, the rest of the houses with these open sort of brillage screens. But interestingly, that also acts as the handrail. So the two kind of go together, the handrail down the stairs on the left side. And at this point, some of the parts and pieces move around. I'm going to have to fix those because it's almost like a little toy. You can angle them now.
Oh my God. I love the curve of that handrail. That was really beautiful.
It
Up
is.
the stairs. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Okay, so then there's this other, the path to the living room is fantastic, right? All these built-in cabinets, and it's almost like its own art gallery, which is perfect for you. And then the skylight.
Yeah, I think that gallery, as you call it, the path to the living room, to and from those, that's probably my favorite sort of experience in the house, because when you're walking from the dining room towards the living room, you get one version of the reflection from the skylights, and then you see, in the winter, you see all the way to Connecticut. In the summer, you just see trees. But in any case, you look out into the woods, and it's a whole preserve all the way back there. The man who originally built the house, George Nelson, was very active in preserving Montauk and the land around Montauk, and very much of an early environmentalist and conservationist. So he was extremely influential. So this is all, it's actually a beach house, you're right. It actually backs up to the beach, but many quite a ways to the east before you can get to the beach. But as you're coming into it, all the windows open up, and then the hexagon opens up. And then when you're sitting in the living room, looking back, that's actually my favorite shot in the house.
Right, and you're in the living room right now.
Yes, I am in the living room.
Yes.
Behind me is Kiki Smith, and I'm hiding her feet, I think. It's a self-portrait of herself saving herself.
I love it. I love it. It was meant to be in that spot, I have to say. It's like so.
I think so.
Yeah, and then the ceiling, like these ceilings, they're kind of crazy amazing, right? Is that a octagon, or what is that? How
It's
many
a hexagon, and it's shingled. So the shingles come up vertically on the 6 sides, the points of the hexagons, and then they meet in the middle and make 2 tiers of hexagonal shingles. And so the upper tier is actually a light fixture. There's lights hidden in that. So at night, it just has this little subtle glow around. I mean, who would have thought of that, right?
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, that's the kind of beauty, you know, us modern people who are rooted in modernism, everything's orthogonal and minimal and, you know, clean, and here these hexagons meet and they're made of shingles.
Right, right. I mean, you had to let go of a lot of your preconceived notions. But
And
it's
then
impossible not to fall in love with this house either. So,
exactly.
right. And then in the dining room also, you have that shingled
Right.
ceiling, correct?
Exactly. The same one, smaller, but same exact ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and so there's also a secret path. Is it is a secret like doorway into with a spiral? Does it go up to the roof?
I guess I must have showed you that because we
Yeah.
don't, it looks like just a closet door and then there's a spiral stair and it has a hatch and then you can go up to an amazing rooftop. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's,
No, we didn't go up there because it was the winter. But
uh,
I love that there was a, you know, for me, always having like these little surprises, and the house is full,
mhm.
is really full of them, right?
Well, you can imagine that was 4th of July evening up on the roof.
Oh my God. And were there a lot of, there weren't fireworks here in the Hamptons. Were there fireworks?
Really? Yeah, we had a little bit.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, good. All right. Wait, so there's more. So there are two skylights in the hallway, and then
Right.
there is an amazing one in the master bedroom. So tell us about that one.
Yeah, you can't be sensitive to light, that's for sure. So I've learned you wake up about whatever it is, 4:50 or whenever the sun comes up and you throw a pillow over your face so that you can sleep till 6:30 or something. But yeah, it's right over the bed, right over the right-hand side of the bed, and it has a palm tree that's been growing for years. And I have to find someone who wants to adopt my tree because it's too tall.
Yeah, I mean, when I was there, I was like, Lauren, what's going to happen to this
I
palm
know.
tree?
I don't know. I had someone look at it and they said that it won't die, that it will just turn back on itself.
Oh wow. Well, then maybe it'll darken the skylight a little bit, which may be not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's impossible. But unfortunately, I'm not light sensitive, so
No, and you get up early anyway, right?
I do. I do.
Yes. All right. So tell us about some of the color in the house, because in that room there's yellow, right?
Mhm.
Those yellow doors.
Yeah, they're kind of an orange yellow, and they're a little more orange yellow than the kitchen cabinets. So
Uh-huh.
the colors, I think, really must have derived from the natural field stone because they're kind of orange and the rust and the sort of green and then the slate blue, and those seem to be the colors in the house and the black. So it seems that he sort of derived, and really, I think if you think about it, it's the colors around you. It's the colors of nature out in Montauk. You look both ways and you sort of feel like your house doesn't really divide you from the trees and the ocean and the branches. There's a lot of native cherry trees on the
Mm.
property, which is kind of interesting.
So do you actually pick the cherries
Yeah,
or
they're
no?
non-fruit bearing, but they're cherry trees.
That's beautiful. Okay, so there's let's see. So how many bedrooms? I know there's another bedroom. There was something with the twin beds are the
Yeah.
one that were downstairs, right?
Where the boiler room was,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so there's that room, and then there's the middle room that has the canopy bed that looks out on the pool, and the hydrangeas have grown. So now the view out that room is a bunch of blue hydrangeas, which is great. Now they told me I couldn't grow them here because the deer would eat them, and I said, well, I'm doing it anyway, and they seem to be great. They ate my boxwoods instead of the hydrangeas. Go figure.
I'm sorry, but I love hydrangeas, so like that's amazing, right?
Yeah, so it's
Right.
good.
So another area that you had to hold back on. So like Lauren was telling me, like originally, yes, she was like, I'm definitely gutting this kitchen, and yes, I'm definitely like gutting the bathrooms. And if you think about Lauren and all your hospitality work, I mean, you're a pro. You could like change those in 2 seconds flat, but you restrained yourself and you kept them.
I did. I haven't even changed the shower heads. The master shower has 2 heads, and I guess it was sort of ahead of its time because it's like a shower experience with the side, jets and the top two jets. And it also has solid surface, which is really odd. In both of the showers, it's held up beautifully well. I thought, well, I'll change this to stone, but no, I have my solid surface. And then the little half bath is literally pink and blue and sort of purple little hexagonal tiles, which I thought I would change those too. But I've grown to love all of it. So it does really, and you know what's interesting? Color is so back in bathrooms and kitchens. I don't know if you've been looking at them. I'm sure
Oh
you have.
yeah, for sure.
all of that. But the same colors that are in here, you're seeing, oh, the new colors of the bathrooms. I have that.
You're like,
I have that.
that's so 1960s.
1960s, right?
And were there penny tiles? I feel like there were penny tiles.
Well, they're actually hexagonal,
Oh,
but
hexagonal.
they look like
Of
penny
course.
tiles. They're
Yeah.
tiny. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's so in too, right?
Well, and then when I added the bathroom, I used all gray ones, but I used the same size little hexagonal tiles, and I used the same shape of the vanity, and I used the plastic laminate like he had in the other ones. Of course, I made it white because it had to be, I had to have some room that was all white, right?
Right. Oh, Lauren. All right, so let's also talk about like that this is a perfect background to your artwork, which is super eclectic and very wide ranging and has such a beautiful spirit around it. So why don't you talk about like some of your favorite pieces? We know the one in the living room. We know Kiki is a favorite, but you have pieces throughout the whole place.
Yeah, I do. So, you know, the first thing you see is, and I like history too. So the first thing you see as you enter the front door is a 1950s vintage Italian bar cabinet.
Right.
And over that bar cabinet hangs a ship diorama.
Right, the diorama. I love that.
Her name is Kate. That's the name of the ship. And you know, it was good luck to do a diorama of your ship. So I love those kinds of things. So that's the first thing you see. And then when you look to the left over the little bar going out to the pool is a really cool painting of Noah's Ark that I got from the Epic garage sale for $9.99.
You go, girl. Hey, it's all in the mix. It's all in the mix.
Yeah, I saw him just the other day and bought that lamp I showed you.
I love it.
And then you go into the hippie room, and it's hidden sometimes, but there's a Danny Rolfe rug tapestry over the bed. So when you pull it down, it exposes that. It's super colorful. And he's a very, very well-known British artist.
And
So
it looks really playful with the flooring, right? It sort of plays off of it a little. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the bold color version of the muted floor.
Right, exactly.
And so then you start up the stairs, and there's a huge Larry Coombs. And I bought that at auction when I was buying for someone else, and it was in a very strange lot. I was buying actually Impressionist. And up pops this Larry Coombs, and so no one bid on it. I'm like, okay.
I got it. Those are the best finds, right? Those are the best.
An awesome one, a really awesome one. And then you coming up and you see the Calder, the rope tapestry that you were talking about.
So beautiful.
And I have some little, you know, interesting Chicago artists. I was doing the art for the Langham Hotel, and so I fell in love with a few of the galleries and some of the artists. There's a little some knitted paintings. I guess that's what she calls them, knitted paintings by Sam Jaffe, which are quite cute.
Those are in the hallway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are in the hallway.
And you also have the Raymond Loewy cabinet. You have some alphabets right there.
Yeah, those were letters. Those are vintage from a Sag Harbor shop, and they were letters on a shop. So they just happened to be ROT. So I thought, you know, those were meant.
Okay, that's very cute.
But I love Raymond Loewy, and I love that piece. I wish I had bought more, which was a little more accessible a few years ago. It's getting very hard to get the right ones now, but I love that piece. It's plastic, foamed plastic.
Wow. And then you also had these Maritime Flags. That's also your nod to, I love all the little nods to Montauk. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, and those are signal flags. I have no idea what they mean. So I have no idea. I put 5 of them together. I don't know what I'm signaling, but
oh no. Safety
probably something.
Yeah.
I'll have to look them up.
Well, it's the kind of house that kind of allows for all these like eclectic pieces and so much personality.
It does. I mean, really, there's no rules. I think the only rules are to respect the angles. And so I have. And I was thinking about adding a little guest house. And my daughter said, "You're not going to go all rectangular like you always do, are you?"
She's like, "Don't do it, Lauren. Don't do it, Mom.
Don't do it. Don't go all rectangular."
And then let's talk about some of your pieces, because you have quite a few plexiglass pieces that are a really perfect mix in this house.
Well, the
like
truth of the matter is, I designed them for that. So they're for Rottet Collection, but they're called Montauk Collection. And the reason was I just didn't want to block the views. Like in the dining room, it's not a huge dining room, and there's built-in cabinetry that George Nelson had done on one side, and on the other side was the Paul McComb credenza that it came with. So I didn't want to block either of those. So I created this acrylic with stainless edges, and so it just hovers. And then of course, you know how I love white stone, so it has a white stone top and it hovers over this acrylic base. And then I did a glass table that's behind me, you probably can't see it, that's a coffee table that has the same color wood edge as the floor, and then just a big long piece of glass, so that doesn't block anything. And then I did this, I think I call it the bent metal table. I just was out here drawing one day and I thought, well, I wonder what you could make if you just kept like bending a piece of metal. And of course it has a glass top, so it doesn't block anything either. And then the dining chairs are even acrylic bases, so they don't block the little shells and things that are on the shelves. So it's all kind of floating and all, you're right. I love acrylic. It's an amazing material. People are afraid of it, but if you collect it like I do, the only thing to be afraid of is Windex. As long as you leave the Windex.
And now we're like cleaning everything. So,
Well,
you know, it's like, by the way, I love that.
On it.
What?
You can put vinegar on it, which will take the germs.
That's true. Vinegar's good. Spray bottle. My husband loves vinegar spraying. Yes. By the way, I love that coffee table, the metal coffee table with the glass top. Gorgeous. And then there are the built-ins that came with the house, like the one behind you, which you recovered them, right?
Yeah, I just recovered them. There's 2 sofas in the living room built in and 1 downstairs built in. And it's really interesting, the air conditioning and heating vents are underneath them. So when you sit there in the winter, your feet are toasty warm, and in the summer, they're toasty cool. So it's very clever, really.
Yeah, you were telling me how much you enjoy this house and the spirit of this house. And also you were like in the winter, how much you enjoy the house.
Yeah, I actually love Montauk in the winter. It hasn't snowed the last couple of winters, but the first 3 it did, and that was amazing. I bought snowshoes and went around snowshoeing in Montauk. It was a lot of fun, but it's beautiful in the winter. There's 2 big fireplaces and they keep the house warm. It's very well built, very well insulated. It's not even cold when I get here in January. I turn the fireplace on and it's actually, I have to make the wood. They're not gas. And so, Cindy, I've actually learned how to light a fire without a fire starter.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, well, I have to have newspaper or something. I'm not really like putting the 2 pieces of stone together and making a spark.
Well, listen, Lauren, it's such a beautiful house, and it's a beautiful homage to George. I think he would love what you've done to the house, right? Because everything, you've made some really smart moves, like the pool and making a bedroom out of the boiler room, but you've been so gentle, and you can see his hand all over the house. And I'm sure he's happy you didn't change all the cabinets, which there are a lot of cabinets in that house.
It's amazing. It's so cool, though. There's drawings in them and workout equipment, and you don't see any of that.
I know.
I was going to say, also, the stories are wonderful. I talked to Gilda Longinetti.
Yeah.
And she had amazing stories about it. And then this wonderful woman, Marie Kennedy, who was the assistant for him at the time he was designing it, came when the AIA had the open house. And she had amazing stories as well about, she said they would spend countless hours behind closed doors working on the house. And young George Johnson, Richard Johnson would come with the family, and they would spend long hours working on it. So it's interesting. Some people say, you know, that George Nelson didn't necessarily work on the homes, that it was Gordon Chadwick. That she said, which I thought was adorable, she said, well, I have no idea what they were doing behind those closed doors if he wasn't designing it.
Right. That's so special. So what does it mean to you to, you know, carry on his legacy and, you know, to be the owner of this really, really special house?
Well, you know, it is an amazingly inspiring house, I have to say. And so I do design a lot when I'm out here. And then I always push myself to think more about form and angle and volume and the importance of that, and how it, the house is actually, I don't remember how many square feet it is, but everyone thinks it's so much larger than my house in Houston because it feels so big. But it's not, because if you think about it, all the rectangles have their corners cut off, so they're smaller. So in an interesting way, it's about efficiency and it's about flow. And I tease sometimes I have to build a rectangular box to sit in because the energy flows and it flows, and I can't, sometimes I go from one design idea to another, to another, to another.
You can't stop yourself. That is not good for Lauren, who's naturally like that, right?
So I need a little box to go put the design ideas on paper.
Oh, well, the house is so special. I'm so happy to be able to actually come and be in the house with you sometimes. And I know what it fills you up with energy and good thoughts and good spirit, right?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
As you, Miss Cindy.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks, Lauren. Well, there we go. This is our first at home, and I think it went very well. I mean, who's not going to want to be knocking on your door? Oh, by the way, Lauren, I'm going to be in Montauk in a month from now. Can I come over?
Find it. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Lauren, for sharing. I know you're leaving tomorrow and you're heading back.
Sadly.
So I know. So be safe, be healthy. Thanks for this beautiful, beautiful house. And I guess we'll be talking soon, I guess. I don't know. I want to hug you, but I can't. It's so weird to say goodbye. I know. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Our first at home with Lauren Rottet out in Montauk. Okay. Bye.